Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our final session of the 2024 Autumn Online Retreat here at the original Foldspace studio location in Oberlin. And this here is the last broadcast I will ever do from this space. Perhaps might be the last thing I ever create in this space. And it's bittersweet because I am excited for what lies ahead. But I've been renting this space for almost 9 years now, and it's where I essentially, excuse me, started my own origami business, essentially, and all the things that have fallen under that umbrella. So what better way to celebrate this final stream here in the space than with a model that I designed myself. Now, I don't design a lot of representational figurative origami, but every now and then something kind of appears in the paper. And what I mean by that is that I did not sit down and say, okay, I'm going to design a bat. In fact, I was trying to design something else entirely, something that is also kind of spooky, believe it or not. It's kind of funny how I kind of stayed in the same subject area. But so here, let's talk about it. So here we are. Here's the bat. Now, when I was folding Sai Chen's color change models, and of course this is attributed to, its variation is attributed to Christiane Bettens, who is a Swiss origami artist. In playing around with this skull design, I got this idea because there were parts of this, like if you were to kind of hide that and just kind of look at the top part, I don't know. I'm not sure if you all see it, but I was starting to see a ghost. Okay, so I said, I guess, or rather, what I wanted to try to do is, if you look here at the mouth, this sort of zigzagging pattern here, like if you were to just kind of isolate the top part of that and just kind of repeat that, I was imagining like what we often kind of see is like the bottom of a ghost. Like a ghost is a sheet with like a kind of a torn or kind of zigzagging bottom edge, right? So what I was trying to do was create a color change at the bottom of a model where it was black at the bottom edge and it had this sort of zigzagging sawtooth pattern in white, and then I would somehow get a face out of that. Okay, so that was the starting idea, and I'm still going to try to figure out how to do that. And and somebody else out there wants to try their hand at it too, I wouldn't be offended if you tried that. Okay, so I'm messing around with the paper, and here's my very first attempt. So again, I'm trying to make this like sort of white sheet with its like a sawtooth edge at the bottom. But then I added a couple of extra folds, and I thought, you know what, this is starting to look kind of like a bat. In fact, the face started to look a little bit more like a cat, and you can see how like this corner is worn out just from all of the like messing around and fiddling that I was doing. So I just kept going along with the bat idea. I think this might have been this was not my second draft, but this was like my first sort of final form that I thought, you know what, this is cool. This has all of the features that I want. And so here we are. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Julie Juniper, who created the diagrams for me. She was so kind she reached out to me because she knew I had a lot on my plate in the weeks leading up to this event, and she offered to help me out with anything I needed help with. And granted, she's in Seattle, so it would all have to be kind of like a digital kind of thing. And so I said, would you be willing to draw the diagrams from my bat? Because I really wanted to pass out the diagrams at the event. And boy, she rose to the challenge. I mean, she turned these diagrams around like that. I mean, I think she's now that she's drawn a few of her own diagrams, she's got all the assets that, she needs. And so, yeah, so she, and the bat doesn't have very many steps. I mean, it's not a super complex model anyway, not a lot of steps. So, so she sent me a draft and I looked over it and I sent her back a few edits. And so we got these diagrams. Now, I do want to add a little disclaimer though, because again, I had a lot on my plate leading up to this, and yesterday I have a really good friend who coincidentally also lives in Seattle. He's this guy I've known for a long time. He's one of my origami friends, and well, I mean, he's not an origami friend per se, but he just also happens to love origami. And he said, I love that bat design. He saw my post on Instagram. He said, I can't make it to the retreat, but I'd love to fold that bat. And I said, oh yeah, no worries, Dan. I'll just send you the diagrams. Don't worry about it. I got you. So I sent him the diagrams. He folded it last night. He loved the model. But then he sent me back some suggestions for the diagrams, some more edits. And so, having a third set of eyes look at the diagram, he brought up some things that I thought, oh yeah, no, he's right. So what I'm getting at, and again, Julie did a fantastic job. I mean, I made a video of how to fold it. She drew the diagrams from that. They turned out great. But there are a few things I'd like to update. So right now, there is a version already posted here in the class description that you can go ahead and download. I mean, it's enough for you to fold the whole bat. But we will see there's a few spots that there might be some discrepancies, or you might want to go one way or another. So, and really this is, this is definitely not, I'm not trying to put this on Julie. This was purely me not having enough time and space to really go through all the diagrams and kind of pick it apart, or even have time to send it to somebody else with fresh eyes to look it over. So anyway, that being said, again, I want to give you a huge thanks, Julie, for drawing these diagrams. And not only that, she created the slides that we will use during the class, which I just love to incorporate whenever possible. So that's my spiel, and we can get to folding. Now, the diagrams, we decided to keep the diagrams as if you were folding with a piece of kami, but I don't think kami is really, I mean, you could use kami if you want, but of course you end up with all of these white areas, and I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I highly encourage you to use a piece of monocolored paper where it's the same color on both sides, because you don't really need a color change here. I do want to add though that the thing that one thing I really like about this design is that the sawtooth pattern here on the edge, I think I like how it invokes the sort of the edge of a bat wing in this sort of abstract way, without actually having to be like a sawtooth that is kind of jagged and sticks out the bottom edge. But yeah, so, and oftentimes that zigzag is used to create a color change, which is what I was trying to do originally, but now we don't actually need the color change. It's really more about just the pattern and the lines and what they invoke. Okay, so let's get to folding, shall we? We're going to begin by folding in half diagonally. And if you are using kami or paper that has a white side or two colors, you want to fold with the non-dominant color side starting facing up. Okay, so white side up, fold and unfold, and then we're going to flip the paper over, and now we're going to fold and unfold the other diagonal, bring the bottom corner up to the top. And then we unfold. By the way, if you bought the paper pack, you know that you got a bunch of 6-inch sheets of all black and all brown paper, and I think that's great paper to use for this model. It's nice and thin, and you'll see why thinner paper tends to work a little better for this. Taunt can work. I think you might need to wet fold it a little bit because it does get kind of thick. But yeah, I forgot to mention that before. Okay, now let's take that bottom point and fold it up to our intersection in the center. And then we unfold. And then we're going to align this crease with this crease. So we bring that corner up, and then we try to align that mountain crease from this side of the paper with the center crease line. Also, making sure that our center point is lining up on the vertical center crease line. We got 3 little references there. Triangulate, literally. Yeah, Julie's a superstar. Oh, geez Louise. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me look here. Oh yeah. Okay, that was right. Yeah, so we fold this up, and then we unfold. And now we got to flip the paper back over. Okay, so now we should have 3 mountain folds. 1, 2, 3. And what we want to do here is create a valley crease in between those top two mountain folds by pinching and bringing this up. So we're making some pleats here. Okay. So we start by doing that once, and then we're going to do it again using this mountain crease. We're going to pleat by pinching that and bringing that up. This is a technique that has appeared on numerous occasions here in these last few weeks here in my classes. Very useful technique indeed. All right, next. We are going to add one more horizontal crease to kind of continue our pleating here. But this time what we're going to do is we're just going to fold, we're going to valley fold up, making a crease that aligns with the bottommost edge. And you can see it just kind of continues that sawtooth pattern a little bit further. But that's all we're going to do for the sawtooth. And now we're going to use an existing crease, the existing horizontal crease that goes corner to corner. And we're just going to let the paper fold underneath. So here we go. So I'm gonna pick it up so I can take this, use the existing mountain fold, and just let that flip underneath like so. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to this corner here, and we'll do the same in a second with this corner, but we're going to do one at a time. Let's start on the right side, and we're going to make a vertical crease that connects with this little corner here. Now, we've built up a bunch of layers with all this pleating, so the paper gets kind of thick, and this is why thinner paper is usually a little better, because if you're using thicker paper, this step is a little bit hard to fold through, but it can still be done. But again, we're using this as our landmark. We are making sure that that long horizontal edge is lining up with itself. And what also ends up happening is that that vertical crease on the opposite side of the paper, it bisects that one of those triangles with the sawtooth right through the middle. Okay, and of course we are folding the wings. And to finish this wing, we are now going to make a crease that connects with this corner, and it's gonna be a valley crease, and it's going to come up and it's going to connect with where this edge crosses this vertical crease line. So what that looks like is, again, kind of, anchor it down here, fold up and out, and then when we flatten it, we want the crease to land at the center line, which I should show you here. Yeah, there you go. Forgot to advance the slide, but there it is. And one thing I like about this fold is that you've got a nice, direct, clean reference, but it also, I'm just going to flip this over for a second. I feel like it kind of creates like a nice angle for the wing. It's not going straight out, it's lifting up a little bit, and we're going to kind of accentuate that a little more here in a second. So anyway, let's go ahead and do the same thing with the opposite side after we've done the right side here. We're going to make a vertical crease by bringing this flap over like so. And fold up. And then we connect this corner with the center by bringing this flap out. Kind of roll that into place. And there you go. Okay, now. All right, let's see what we got next. Now, I think we're going to flip it over. I know we're going to flip it over. So let's flip the model over. And I'm also going to enlarge this. Okay. So now let's bring the tip at the top down to this edge here in the middle. And already it's looking pretty batty. Okay. And so there's our result. And then next, we're going to bring that same tip up. And our reference, if you look, it's about halfway up. So if you kind of measure, and this is a judgment fold. This doesn't have to be exact. You just kind of find the proportions that work for you. And so if you imagine like halfway up this vertical line that starts where this bottom corner meets the edge, you're looking to aim the corner for about halfway up. But again, it doesn't have to be exactly that. It'll look about like this. Okay. Once you fold that flap up, let's open this flap back up again. And now we're going to, basically what we're doing, we're taking this big wide flap and we're going to shape it. We're going to kind of narrow it down from these like kind of slanting corners, and then we'll narrow it a little bit from beneath. So, so these, again, these are judgment folds. You're going to fold those down, or, typically, I like to flip it around and do it upside down. So I'll just do it that way. So the key here is that, you're folding up a little chunk here. The main thing is that you're making a crease that more or less runs parallel to that little truncated edge there. And however far up you do it on one side, just do it the same distance on the other side. And here, I'm going to try to even this one out a little bit. Okay. So again, there we go. We're just kind of narrowing. I'm just going to just show you what that looks like. We're going to keep it here. But you can see now we've started to narrow the sides of the face, and it's starting to look a lot more like a bat. But now my original design, I didn't do this step, but after a while I thought, I kind of like it better if we bring that bottom edge up a little bit. So what I like to do, now we're going to make the fold from the other side, but just while looking at this side, imagine a mountain fold that connects this corner and this corner. Okay, so basically you're taking that little chunk there underneath the blue pencil, and you're folding it underneath. Now what that looks like over here is you're taking these corners and you're bringing them to the ends of these little bitty triangles here and here. Okay. So by doing that from this side, you're making a valley fold that connects those 2 points right here. I'm bringing that down like so. Okay. Now, one thing I want to point out, one of the edits that we're going to make in the diagram is that if you see in the diagram step, it's showing the valley crease going through basically where this lands. So don't really pay attention to that. What we're doing, we're folding a valley crease that connects these outer corners here and here. So those go down like that. Okay. So, yeah. So anyway, we're narrowing. I mean, this is all underneath. It doesn't have to be any specific way. But now when we put this down, we've got a nice little bat face here, or the makings of a bat face. Yeah, Julia, also a folder upper, and that's kind of a natural way to fold, and that's how I always like to teach people. When you fold in half, you fold up and away from yourself, and a lot of folds, I think, work better when you do them that way. So absolutely, Julia. Okay, so I think now we're going to hit another spot, and this is totally on me because I originally designed this bat so that we're going to make, basically we're making little pleats to make the ears go behind the head. But in recent weeks, when I was folding this, I was refolding the bat, and I made a version where when I pleated the wings, I made them pleat in the front of the face, okay? And I kind of like that. And the reason so I ended up settling on this for Julie's diagrams because bats, if you look at a picture of a real bat, their ears are like facing the front. Like they're right there. They're not really like back here, you know. But when when I sent my diagrams to my friend Dan, and he wrote back, he said, I want my ears to look the way they do in the picture. Now, if you look at the picture on the diagram, I did not send Julie an updated picture of the bat. So if you look at the picture on the diagram, the ears are pleated behind the head here. Okay. So Brent, you're right. It's like if they're in the front, they're more like radar ears. When they're in the back, I think it kind of looks more cute. It looks cuter when they're pleated to the back. So honestly, you can decide for yourself if you want to pleat the ears to the front or pleat the ears to the back. But because of how we have it diagrammed, I'm just going to go ahead and pleat them to the front just to be consistent with the diagrams of how I asked Julie to draw them. But Dan, my friend Dan, got me thinking. I was like, maybe I should keep them to the back, or I need to update the picture. So that's another update that I'm going to have to decide on what I want to do there. Okay, so to pleat the ears to the front, to get them more like like a radar, like a satellite dish or something, is you just make a valley fold that follows this edge. And if you wanted to pleat them to the back, you just pleat in the opposite direction. Instead of making a valley, you would make a mountain. But I'm going to go ahead and make a valley fold that follows that edge. And then we're going to make kind of like a radial pleat. It's going to radiate from this vertex. And you don't really need to come down too terribly far. Like it's because the farther down this valley crease is, the shorter the ear will get. So you don't want to take away too much from the ear because bats have gigantic ears. So we're just going to make another valley fold, but try to make it connect with this corner. But it doesn't. You don't want it to come down too far. But it'll look kind of like this. Okay. So these are for the front-facing ears. If you want them to be more in the back, just pleat them to the back. And maybe make one of each and decide for yourself which one you like better. I mean, I think they both have their merits. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do that again with the other side. Same deal. Whichever way you decided to go, just do it again. But you can use this edge for either direction. And then make a sort of a radial pleat that connects that corner. Use some fine pinching here. There we go. And just try to make it even with the first one. Okay, so those are the front-facing ears. And now we're going to flip it over on the back. And this is a really fun step because what we're going to do is, because like right now the wing, the edge of the wing is coming way up here, kind of towards the top of the head. But we can do a little adjustment here to make this edge angle down a little bit more. Oh, it's Marta, those are two folds. It's a mountain, well, it's a valley, then a mountain, essentially. If you want to see here, I folded it down, and then I folded it back up. Those creases, or I'll go back a couple steps. You can see those creases are very close to one another, but they are far enough apart that the ear does. The other thing this does, it kind of angles the ear a little bit to a nice kind of bat position. So, okay, so now here on the back of the model, this doesn't have an exact placement. So there's kind of a range where this fold can happen, but we do have a couple of specific landmarks, okay? So the specific landmarks are the outside tip of the wing, and there's this edge, like where the raw edge hits the very top here. That's your second anchor point, okay? So those are the same no matter what. What can vary is how far down onto this edge those two creases go where they meet one another, okay? And so we're making a swivel fold. What we do, and what's kind of cool is that there, like I said, there's a range, but there's really only, it's a very narrow range, I think. You're taking that raw edge, you're pulling it down some. Now you do want to try to, start out by trying to make sure that that crease is going to hit the corner. So just like I do my angle bisectors, I always like to kind of like ease it into place. I kind of run my finger along the crease without really fully committing to it. And then wherever this little squash fold happens is fine, okay? So you can see here, you can kind of change where, how far down it goes, and it's not going to look exactly the same every time. A lot of it also has to do with how you pleated the ear, okay? So, but however you do it, you're just going to kind of pull that edge down a little ways, and then kind of get a little squash. And there it is. And if you compare, if we look here, we can see how much farther down this wing is slanting. Okay, so it makes it even more batty, and doesn't look so strange, like it's just coming out of the back of its head. Okay, let's do the other one. And of course, Just like most symmetrical origami, you're just trying to repeat about however it looks on one side, just try to make it look the same on the other side. And there is some variability here. Make sure I'm hitting that corner as best I can. I'm going to pull this down a little ways. Now, this paper is kind of thin, so it is ripping a little bit up here. So be mindful of that. Try not to let it rip. So I think because it's ripping now, it's wanting to go somewhere else. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't need much because just like a little bit goes a long way, I feel, with this step. Okay. All right, so now we've done that with the other side. It's on the screen a little bit more. And once we've done that, we've got one more move on the back of the model where now we can take the very tip of the head, the top of the head, and just fold it down as far as it comfortably wants to go. So it's basically going to connect with the ends of the ear in the middle. Now you turn it over. Got your little bat face with the front-facing ears or the ears behind. Please let me know what you prefer, what you think looks better. All right, there's the result. And just a few more steps. Now we're going to, so in my original draft, one of my original drafts of the bat, I had kind of left it like this. But I wasn't really quite satisfied with what's going on down here. It just felt kind of boring. It was kind of, I don't know, I just felt like something was missing, really. So then, with a little bit of, fidgeting, playing around, I added a couple of creases, which actually achieved two different things to my delight. It kind of gave the impression of like two little, like the bottom of the body with these two little short stubby legs, with the corners kind of representing the 2 feet of the bat, and it gave it a sort of a distinguished tail. Yeah. So to make those, you're going to, we're going to kind of pinch in a kind of, it's basically an inside reverse fold here, okay? And we want to try to connect with these 2 corners, and I make this little V kind of shape. Now you do have to start folding the bat in half. I also try to not let the vertex here in the middle reach this edge. You'll see in the diagram too, I like for it to land just a little bit below that. So that's just my personal preference. It's really to taste, but I think I kind of like it better like that. So what I do like to do here, I like to go ahead and just kind of fold the whole thing in half with, well, here, before I show you that, yeah. So I kind of fold the whole thing in half, give it a light pinch. This doesn't have to be a sharp crease, okay, especially because we're going through a bunch of layers. And then now we're going to do another reverse fold where we kind of bring the tail flap back out. And so the diagram, it does look kind of horizontal, but really that crease is also, if you see like on this one, that crease is like also kind of at a V shape, okay? So now you can either, okay, so it kind of, the closer you get to these corners, the more it flattens out, but you don't have to, like in this one, you can see I did not actually connect with those corners. Let me see here. This one, I got a little bit closer. So this one's like a little bit, and you can't really see it because it's so dark, but anyway, we're basically just taking this and we're flipping it back out and making a new crease our new kind of like an inside reverse fold, wherever that makes sense. But you can, maybe try to connect to those corners or come close to them. And then from here, you'll pinch it in half again. So you see the diagram telling us to kind of pinch it all the way in half, like so. Wow, that almost looks exactly the same. How about that? Nice job, Julie. Okay, so there we go. So now, not only do we have little feet, we have a tail, it also makes the bat a little more three-dimensional and not as flat as it was before we did this step. So that's also nice. And so you open it back up again. And the last thing is we're going to make the face. Now, this is a feature that I really like on this model, okay? And you can also do your own version of this because there's a few different ways that you could do this. What I've been doing, what I like to do, first of all, is I take the tip here and I just fold back just the tiniest little bit of it. Not very much, just a tiny, tiny little bit. Okay. Now, when I heard back from my friend Dan about, folding this, he loved the model. He liked what I was able to do with, very little paper. And he said, you had me looking up the noses and the faces of bats, and man, they are disgusting. like if you look at the face of a bat, it's like, whoa. Okay, so they have these kind of like weird mouths, these like really weird noses. But what I think works really well in shaping the face of this bat, and I feel like this is such a nice bat-like feature, is that if you make these really sort of slight, these little curving valley creases on these raw edges, and this is a step that where the curvature of your fingertips, like if your thumb and your pointer finger, kind of do the work for you. Okay, so when I do this step, what I do is I just kind of, you see how I'm pinching with those two fingers like that? Just give it just a slight pinch, and that will kind of peel that layer up a little bit. But not only that, it gives it like a little bit of a curve. You don't really need much. Okay, it's just a little bit of that edge. And what you can do is that you can make, it's kind of like a little crescent moon shape that, or it's kind of concave, from the outside, that connects this corner with the little corner next to the nose, where we folded that little bit of nose back. So it's neat, and I love how sometimes in a model you incorporate a curved crease, and your fingertips can be really helpful in creating that sort of curved crease. But there, in doing that, I think I like that it achieves kind of a bat-like face or like a horseshoe nose. Some of mine, when I do this, the little corner that I folded behind will kind of come out. It'll pop up a little bit. I don't think it really did that here. I'm trying to find. Yeah, it did it on this one, and I can't really see that here. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to see it, but anyway, point is that it's up to you to just kind of play around with it till you get something that you're happy with. And that's it. There it is. There we go. Thank you, Bonnie. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I like it too. Again, I was pleasantly surprised. And I mean, what was neat was that I was still putting together the set list for the set list of models for this retreat. And I had 5 models, and I was thinking, it'd be nice if I had a 6th. But again, I didn't sit down to say, okay, I'm going to design a sixth model for the retreat. I was just having fun. I was just jamming with the paper saying, I wonder what I could, what I would have to do to make a ghost. And lo and behold, this bat appeared, and I felt that it was good enough to teach at the retreat. So here it is. And so now you all are the first to learn, well, the first group to learn it. I have taught it. A few other people have learned it outside of this. But I'm so glad that you all like it. And Juliet thinks bat noses are adorable. Good. I think so too. I haven't really looked at them. I mean, maybe to each their own. Jen doesn't like them, but yeah. Very cool. So yeah, we're not going to make any grand revisions to the diagram, but I'll at least swap out the photo so that the photo matches what's actually in the diagram. Olivia also likes the ears in the front, like their radar. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the general consensus. My friend Charles, he was the first person I taught this bat to, and he loves bats. So he was absolutely delighted to learn this model. And he was there when I did the version. I kind of I forgot how I pleated the ears originally, and then it was later I realized, I was like, oh, I pleated these to the front, and he said, I think that's better. He liked it more with them in the front, so I think it does make it a little more bat-like. But all righty then. Well, there you have it. Oh my goodness, you all. This has been so much fun. I cannot thank you enough for all of your support and your enthusiasm and your ongoing participation. It's so awesome to know that I've got fans out there who come to all my live streams whenever they can, or they sign up for all my events. It just means the world to me. And, this is the closing of a very long chapter, but the beginning of a new one. And I definitely plan on doing more of these online retreats, so please stay tuned. I'm definitely going to organize a similar type event, all focused on corrugation folding. I've already been talking to a few of you about that, and some of you seem very excited about that idea. So I'm definitely going to do that. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see how long it takes for me to kind of get settled and set up in Louisville. I don't know. It might be a few months, but we'll see. We'll see. Onward. Thanks, you all. I'm just reading the comments. I'm filled with gratitude and excitement for what lies ahead. And I'm glad you all were here for my grand finale. Yeah, I know, Kelly. What a month. Whew. It has been a wild month. And it's not over. It's still not over, because the rest of today and tomorrow I will be gathering the rest of my stuff. And there, I got most of it down to Louisville, but truth be told, there's still quite a bit left over that I'm going to have to get packed up and out here. But now that I've got all this out of the way, I've got my art project out of the way that I had to deliver this morning, I'm feeling ready. And yeah, so let me think here. I also want to give a huge thank you to all of the special guests, to Sai, to Jason, to Julie, and Will. I really, really liked this set list. Like, I thought it was such a solid lineup of models. I really liked the lineup for the last retreat, but I will say, I think I like this one even more. I felt it was just really solid. So yeah, and the bulk of those models came from me going to conventions, taking classes, interacting with other folders. And I think that's really cool. So, hopefully I'll find my way to some other events between now and the next retreat. And yeah, I'll continue to, share these models with you all. I like the idea of being an ambassador for origami designers and just origami in general and getting origami out in the world. Yeah, so yeah, Marna's right. Moving boxes, not box turtles for a while. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many boxes, so much paper, so much origami, so many books. Oh, and Allison had a question. How far is Louisville from Oberlin? It's about a 5-hour drive, right around 300 miles. So it's not bad. I've made the drive many, many times because my family's been there for quite some time. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Allison. Thank you, Brent. You are so welcome. And yes, thanks again to all the awesome guests. Juliet really enjoyed the interviews. I had a really great time doing the interviews as well, which you can tell. Now, I think I might have accidentally messed up in editing my interview with Julie. Apparently, it might have cut off a little bit early. I haven't had a chance to go back and look at that, but I will go back and I can re-upload and just change the link out. And by the way, all of these classes remain accessible to you. All of the interview links are in the class descriptions, and any diagrams that were available will remain posted there. When I update the BAT, Julie, will you please help me update the BAT? When we update the BAT, we'll replace those diagrams with the revised version. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of sit here and ramble a little bit, because why not? Thank you, Julie. Yeah, you're right, Olivia. Paper in books are heavy. It's like hauling boxes of wood, essentially. Oh my gosh. And Marta Giles, who's here, I want to give a huge thank you to Marta Giles, because she lives in the area, and she bought a paper pack, and since she's so close, she likes to come by the studio to pick up the paper pack. And when she came by to pick it up, she said, "Oh, let me know if you need any help packing." And I said, "Sure enough, I will take you up on that offer." So Marta came and she helped me pack up all of my books. She helped me organize all of the paper in my flat files, which was just like a loose, crazy explosion of random stacks of paper. And yeah, Marta, you're still here. Cool. So yeah, Marta, again, thank you so much for coming to help me pack. That was so helpful. That was like the day before I got to pick up maybe it was the same day I picked up the truck. It was the day I picked up the truck. Ooh, boy. So much has happened in these last few weeks. Okay, so thank you all so much once again. I know I sound like a broken record, but this is it for now. And please keep posting your photos in the community photos tab. I think somebody had a question as to how to do that. And basically, you go to that section on the foldspace.circle.so website, and then you go to new post. You're creating a post, and then you have the option of uploading a photo and writing a description and all that stuff. Kelly, you had a really good question. What do you think, or what do I think I'll miss the most about Oberlin? Oberlin is such a comfortable and just like safe and just kind of idyllic little community. And I'm going to miss the proximity of everything. My house is less than a 5-minute walk from where I'm sitting right now. And I just really appreciate that. I'm also really going to miss the community. I'm very much rooted here. I know so many people, especially from my years of working in community arts education. I've seen a lot of kids grow up here in Oberlin. And so I've become friends with a lot of different families and a lot of senior citizens. I mean, it's like I know so many people here. But the good news is that I will be coming back often to visit and to hopefully do teaching gigs up here. And yeah, so I think those are the two things I'll miss the most. It's just like the comfortable, idyllic little setting of Oberlin, and the people. And yeah, and what am I planning for next Friday? Well, there's not going to be anything next Friday because I won't have a studio. I will be in between studios, you know, because I'll still. So here's the thing: I'm going to be going down to Louisville on October 21st, and I was going to see if maybe I could throw together, you know, try to get my setup up and running for my streaming, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a stream, you know, there towards the end of October. So we will see. Now, you just reminded me though, Marta, you reminded me that I recorded a video of myself kind of going through this studio space before I started packing it up. And I'm actually, what I can do here in the next week or so, once I get to it, is I can, I'm going to upload that video to YouTube so you all can kind of get a little tour of the space from before I started taking it apart. And it's a nice little sort of personalized tour of Foldspace 1.0. And it was important that I do that before I start packing everything up. And I did. I managed to pull it off. I just recorded it all on my phone. And so yeah, so yeah, next Friday maybe I'll get that video uploaded, the tour of my studio. My YouTube numbers have been going up, you know, by streaming 3 Fridays in a row. You know, and sort of the lead up to this event. Did great for my YouTube numbers. My watch hours have been going up. I surpassed 500 subscribers on YouTube. So by the way, if you're not already subscribed to the Foldspace Origami Studio YouTube channel, please go check it out and smash that subscribe button. But yeah, but yes, I agree. MT Marna, just we have got 2 Marnas here. So I agree, MT Marna. I love this background, and you know it's funny because I left this backdrop just basically untouched when I started packing up my studio. So the rest of the studio looks very different than it used to, and most of the stuff is gone. Now it's just like stacks of boxes, like empty boxes, stacks of paper, and some miscellaneous bins of origami. So yeah, I'll give you a tour of the new space once it's all set up. And yeah, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you will. I'm sorry, Marna. Marna and Marta. I'm sorry. I'm getting my wires crossed here. Marna. Yes, I will. Yeah, I'll enjoy like posting that video too. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit. I'm just rambling here. But hey, I still have 21. There's still 21 of you here, which is 1 less than who were taking the class. But yeah, Brent, that would be cool if I got that YouTube silver plaque. My next goal is to, so I've hit 500 subscribers. In order to monetize my channel, I need to reach 1,000 subscribers. But the more difficult aspect of becoming monetized on YouTube is I need 4,000 watch hours in a 1-year period. And I am steadily creeping up to about 1,000 hours thus far. And that goes back to when I started streaming back in the fall. So what's going to happen is, like, as time moves forward, that collective amount of time in the last 365 days, it's gonna start shifting a little bit. But if I just keep uploading and streaming more regularly, I should have no problem hitting those 4,000 hours. But yeah, so and then Allison, yeah, so I do a lot of my live streams on YouTube, and all of my past live streams are still available for viewing on YouTube. I've got a bunch of them there. And I'm going to probably go back and reteach a lot of the models that I taught on Facebook in 2020. Now, some of you, I don't know if any of you who are here now, I feel like Brent, you were there. When the pandemic started back in March of 2020, it didn't take me long before I was streaming on Facebook 3 days a week. I had this ongoing schedule because I didn't have much else going on. And I was streaming on Facebook, teaching 3 models a week for all the folks who were stuck at home wondering what to do. And you can still find those if you go to like the Foldspace Facebook page, and you scroll like way back, you'll see there's like dozens of recordings. But it was in the beginning when I was first getting started with all the streaming stuff and using the multiple cameras. And it's kind of wild to like go back and for me to go back and look at those. But I'm planning on revisiting those good old days. Yeah, that's right, Brent. I'm going to revisit those, and I'm probably going to restream a lot of that stuff because why not? I mean, now I can restream them better quality, stream them to YouTube. So I've got a ton of content available to me that I can present again. And oh, and Marna was there too. Yeah, okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, wow. So, all right, anything else? Any other questions? I'm happy to sit here and just ramble on because when I stop, it means that I have to start packing. But it's okay. I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling so motivated, and despite, just kind of being kind of tired from just a busy couple of weeks, kind of ready to get on with it. So cool. Oh, and Laura, yes, okay. Laura found me on Facebook. Cool. Yeah, I am tired, but excited. So yeah, Marta, if you want to see some of the older stuff, if you're on Facebook, I guess I can't remember if you are or not, but yeah, if you go to the Foldspace Origami Studio Facebook page, and if you're not already following, please go and follow me there too. I haven't been doing a lot on Facebook, honestly. I don't really like using Facebook, but I probably still need to anyways, as far as business is concerned. But yeah, like scroll down my feed back to 2020, and you will see several live streams. Now, unfortunately, they're not organized very well. Like, it's hard to find specific classes, and yeah, again, I was just starting out. I was still kind of figuring it out as I went, and it's yeah. So you can get a peek at the good old days, and yeah, and Marna, you are speaking my language. Procrastination origami is your thing. And actually, it's funny you say that because I'm pretty sure that when I designed the bat, I was procrastinating on a bunch of other stuff that I needed to be working on, like packing my studio. But hey, look what came of it, right? I was being productive. It was important work. And yeah, Deb, my old buddy Deb Pun, we met at the 5 OSMI conference in Singapore back in 2009. That was the first time I had ever been out of the United States, like off the mainland. Like I had been to Mexico before, but I had never been overseas, and I attended that event, and I met a lot of really cool people at that event, including Deb Pun, who's a long-time attendee and fan. Yeah, and then Brent reminds me of the manta ray. I think that might be one of my, I only have like 2 or 3 representational models that I designed. And the other one being the manta ray that I taught at the 2020 online convention. Also, my other figurative representational model, I have that little baby Yoda. Well, it's not necessarily baby Yoda, but I have the Yoda that I designed from Jumping Frog. And that was that was the first representational model I ever designed. And I only kind of half designed it because I just took like the traditional jumping frog halfway through, and then I just kind of took a fork in the road and took it in another direction because I always thought, oh, this looks kind of like Yoda, and then I designed a Yoda from it. So that's a great design hack. Like if you're first starting to design, you're folding another model, you get to a point where you're like, this looks like something different. What if I did this instead, or what if I did that? And then often you'll find models are born in that way. Allison wants to know where to find the Yoda. I am wondering where. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I know I taught it at a online Origami USA event. I think I taught it at Foldfest years ago. I think I might have taught it on one of my Facebook live streams, so you might find it there, but good luck finding it. Again, it's not organized in any sensible way besides just kind of scrolling down and looking. But yeah, maybe I'll do that as a live stream. I love it. I love that kind of Q&A we've got going on here, or just like the comments. Yeah, I know, totally, Marna. Folding versus packing, we know the obvious choice there is, and the pressure does often equal creative production. That's what happened with my art project that I was just working on recently that some of you got to see. Oh my goodness. Bonnie was at the 2020 Foldspace conference, bought the book. Oh, cool. And Bonnie said that this was the first origami event that she attended. All the classes live. Thank you so much for attending all of them. And I'm glad that you thought the pacing worked well. I agree. Like there's that 48-hour world marathon. And that's like the opposite of the kind of event I want to run. I mean, now kudos to them. And I think it's awesome that exists. And I think it really appeals to a lot of people out there, and I get that. I think it's awesome that it happens. But for me, I'm like, let's just fold a couple of models a day, and then we'll hang out at night at late night folding and fold a few more the next day. So I'm glad that that you thought it was a good pacing, Bonnie. No, Allison, I don't think my Yoda is not on YouTube. You'd have to find it on I think it's on the Facebook page, the Foldspace Facebook page. I also want to go back here, just soaking it all in here. Another comment that Martin made a little while ago is that it's like really great to hear that the range of models and the number made it very successful. Not too much, different subjects with some different techniques to learn. Yes, that's exactly my goal. Like I'm trying to find a nice balance in the set list, like a little bit of representational, a little bit of geometric, that kind of approach. I also I really was excited about the black and white color change theme, like introducing a theme, and folding a bunch of models that fit that particular theme. So, all right. Here we go. I think I've said enough. Can't believe there's still 20 of you here. But I'm glad that 20 of you are still here. And by the way, Bonnie, thanks for sharing. Yeah, y'all, please get the word out. Yes, Steve found the Yoda. Oh my gosh. You'll see how different my whole setup looks. Yes, Steve. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Steve folded the Yoda with his grandkids. Yeah. At one point, I called it the little green guy, just to be safe as far as, copyright and all that stuff. And yeah, Marta asked if the late nights were recorded. Now, I didn't mean to record them, but I think when I set them up to record. So actually, they were recorded. You can go see us just like hanging out on a Zoom call for like almost 3 hours. So yeah, you can actually go back and watch those. They're in the past events in the main event page. By the way, I'm going to copy this link, Steve. Thank you for finding it. Yeah, I want to make sure. I have that within reach here. Oops. What am I doing here? So yeah, but cool, got it. All right. All right, my friends. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll see you all when I get to Louisville. And I'll try to get that studio, the backstage tour of the studio up on YouTube. So when I do, I'll send an email blast out. I'm assuming all of you are probably subscribed to my email list. If not, send me a message and I'll add you to the list. Because yeah, I'm trying to grow my email list as well. So thank you so much, everybody. This has been so cool, so much fun. And thank you for all the well wishes and all of your support. And I'll see you down the road. Peace out, friends.